Hello.
Hello?
Hello. What's up, bro?
Hey, it's the What's Up Bro podcast. We talk movies, sports, TV shows, pop culture, and it's funny, mother. With nary signs. I'm like, what? How can this... They have Photoshop. Photoshop exists when this artist rendition was done. How the fuck is this not cooler looking than a sketch that looks like it was done by a hillbilly off the side of the road? What the fuck are we talking? Why is this a thing?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Steph, Onion Mayor Sr.
Yeah, I don't have to look for you.
Oh, no.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah! And Mike Mercadal.
I'm just glad I like vanilla, boring sex like this. I'm glad that the sex I enjoy won't get me killed.
That's how winning is done.
Hey, I'm Dave Chappelle, and this is What's Up, Bro.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the What's Up, Bro podcast. My name is Mike Mercadal. With me, as always, is
Nary signs. Top of the morning to you.
Nary has a little bit of a once again, thank you to Dave Chappelle for dropping in and saying that line every episode live. Thank you so much for committing to that, committing to us, committing to What's Up, Bro. Good for him. Nary's Wi-Fi is a little bit delayed because he's in the top of the morning. He's off on the other side of the world. We are truly global now. If Stephanie Mayer Sr. drops in, because then it will be Europe, the U.S. and Australia, like a triangle around the world.
I mean, when I'm on cruise ships, it does the same thing. So but I get it. This is very different, I guess.
Does Ireland feel different? How many leprechauns have you stumbled across? How many
it
What are those
feels
stereotypes?
it will feel different. It feels different in the sense of like it really is like to imagine the Wi-Fi is truly shite, and that's how bad it
Shite.
is. That's how bad it is that you have to say it that way. You can't just say shit.
Oh,
You
man.
gotta say shite.
Well, you know what? What are the good things? Like, what is there
I,
good?
oh my god! First of all, like this is their summer, and
Oh,
I shit you not. Like if you Google like the temperature in
Irish summer.
Ireland this week, it's like 69, 70 degrees.
And they're like, "Oof, it's so hot! Oh my goodness!"
No, there are locals. So I'm filming a show. I can't talk about the show, but I'm
Yeah,
filming a
nothing. We can't
show.
talk about anything.
And but the crew is like fanning themselves, like, oh, it's so hot, and I'm like, what?
Meanwhile, you're like, "I'm finally not sweating. Like,
Yeah,
relax."
legitimately, I'm like legitimately like, oh, okay, I guess yeah, this is hot, I guess. But yeah, it's very cool. It's a very cool experience. Um, the flight over here was like so great, and then so shite. It was Miami to Boston, Boston to Dublin. And from Miami to Boston, I was on American, and I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna mention companies because they suck. So
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, whatever.
fuck 'em. American Airlines was like the lady was like, "Oh, you gotta check your carry-on," and I was like, but I don't because I travel every week, and I don't have to travel, check this." And she go, "Oh, it's too fat, like it's too thick, it doesn't fit in the thing," and she's technically right. But it's one of those things where you're like, dude, there's plenty of space in the bin. And I know this because I travel every fucking week. And she was like, no, you got to check it. And we got to check it. And it's going to go to Dublin for you. And I go, but I have like a bunch of stuff in here, like microphones and that I can't just leave in my carry. She's like, oh, you got to carry those with you. So I had to like take things out,
Oh,
empty
one
things
of
out.
those. You had to do the swap and in
Yeah.
front of everybody.
In front of everybody. And then carry it like just like cartoonishly carry everything. And I have my duffel bag, and it's the whole thing. And I said, you're gonna lose my bag. And she goes, no, you're not. And I'm like, okay, but I knew.
Do you think that when you say that, they do a special thing where they're like, fuck this guy, and they do something with it?
I think
Like,
there's
just because you challenged them?
I think there's a possibility of that, but I think the reason that's not why I think that happened this time. The reason why I think it happened is because from Boston to, even though you purchased the airline ticket on American, from Miami to Boston was American, but from Boston to Dublin was Lingus, which is hilarious. That's the name of the airline, which is hilarious.
Analingus?
Aer Lingus, and so you gotta, and air is not spelled AIR, which is also hilarious. So then I like.
Why are we expecting it to be not in Irish? Isn't it Irish? Isn't that what the whole?
I guess,
whole
but
thing?
I didn't know Irish was a language. I thought English was a language.
Oh,
I didn't know Irish was a language. You know,
that's big. Then the British have done their job. The English have done their job in making it destroying Irish culture.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So, they it made me laugh because I said you're gonna lose my. So this is why I think it happened. So they're not. I'm not only the bag is not only going to a destination where it has a stop in between, right, which is always dangerous. Right?
Yeah.
That's yet another time that the bag has to get off one plane and go on to another. But the plane that it's going to get onto is not only going to a different country in a different hemisphere, it's also on a different airline. So it just increases the chances. And I said to her, I'm like, come on, man. And I looked at her, I'm like, come on, man. And she was like, no, you got to do it. I'm like, dude, it's just this is her just putting her power in the, like, I have power now. And I'm like, okay, bro, whatever. But I wasn't gonna let anything mess up I'm like, dude, I'm in a good mood. I'm going over there to film a show. I don't care. Shut up. Like, whatever. And I got on the flight to Boston. There was nothing wrong with it. It was perfect. I got there on time. I had an hour and a half I had an hour to get to my connecting flight in Boston. The terminal was a little bit difficult to find because I kept passing it. Not because I'm blind, but because there's like a special entrance to it. It's a whole thing. And by the time I got to it, they were already boarding, and I'm carrying this big old like luggage thing and microphones and all this crazy shit. And then by the time I sit down, there's an old lady next to me. It's one of those like 2, 3, and 2 split up.
Got it. Yeah.
And before the doors closed, the lady, the stewardess, she was very nice, a flight attendant, and she was like, asked the old lady next to me because I had the window seat. She's like, "We have another seat. Do you want a whole row to yourself?" And the old lady was like, "Oh, sure, thank you." So the old lady gets up, and it's funny because she grabbed her snacks, and I was like, "Oh, you're taking the snacks?" And she, like, everybody was laughing, yeah, whatever. So she gets there. Again, I have the whole row to myself. The whole row is just one other seat, but I have the whole row to myself. It's a 5.5 hour flight. Everything's gravy, bro.
Yeah.
I land.
Poor man's first class. You're getting.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I land and I get to customs, and customs like, well, "What are you here for?" And I said, "A TV show." And then he says, "Oh, is it such and such?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, did they tell you to lie to customs?" And I said, "No, but I wouldn't have done that anyway." And he goes, "Yeah, I always find that weird when TV shows run." I'm like, "Yeah, because they don't know how to expense it. They got to get like a business license, whatever other stuff." But they didn't ask me that.
Interesting.
This has happened in the past. Not that this TV show did that, but this has happened in like, he's customs. He's just talking about, and I've had
that happened in the Bahamas. That's happened. Yes.
I've had other
unfamiliar. Yeah.
I've had other times where I get booked for a comedy show and they go, "Just tell them you're here to visit." I'm like, "What?" Because you need to get a work visa otherwise.
Yeah.
So anyways, I did all this, and I said I wouldn't lie anyways to customs. He's like, "Yeah, that sounds dumb." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm a immigrant in America. Like, I'm not dumb enough to like lie to like immigration. Like, that's fucking crazy talk." So he was laughing, and I get to the whole, and I get downstairs, and I'm the last one in the airport, and no bag, bro.
Oh, that's like, the worst when you see everybody start to filter away, and you're like,
and then there was one other guy who got it very late, and I was like, "Oh, I guess maybe I'm not the only one, like maybe there's something." And then when I saw he got his bag, but then after that, like 5 minutes after that, the flight attendants and pilots got their fucking luggage, and I was like, "Oh no,
oh no, that's the worst. That's bad. That's when you know it's over."
Yeah, it's over. And then at 5 a.m. but in Ireland at that time, I have had zero sleep because I purposely said don't sleep, because once you get to Ireland, you get to sleep, whatever, as much as you want. That way you don't have the crazy time cycle going through. The jet lag thing. So don't sleep on the plane. I did it because for me, my body still thought it was 11 p.m., even though Ireland is now saying it's 5 a.m.
So I wonder. I don't know the tricks, but to me, I'm always like, if I can sleep on the whatever their time is before I get there, like if you would have slept on the plane, you would have been like you're waking up at 5 a.m. as opposed to you stayed up all night. 5 a.m.
Well, again, but once I get to the hotel room, but once I get to a hotel room, I could sleep and then whatever. Anyways, so it doesn't matter. My body wasn't sleepy. I was like, dude, it's 11 p.m. for me. I don't know what to tell you. So I go to the lady. I go, "Where's my bag?" I go, she goes, "Do you have your receipt?" I go, "Yeah." So I give her my receipt, my baggage claim check. She's like, "Oh, it's in Boston." And I just laughed. I just smiled, and I was like, "Yeah, of course." And she was like so super apologetic. And that's another thing that I'm going to mention now, but it's the truth. Like, I have yet to meet and I'm sure they exist, but I have yet to meet a rude Irish person. Like, they have all been absurdly nice. It's like, oh, and she was like wincing and like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, it's clearly not her fault.
Yeah.
This is like a 22-year-old. This is like a 22-year-old girl who's working at Aer Lingus at 5 a.m. in Dublin. Like, this is not your fault. You had nothing to do with my bag being in Boston or not. I'm like, this is not your fault. And I'm like, it's not your fault, whatever. So I filled out a baggage claim, whatever ticket. I go downstairs, go to my hotel, get to my hotel at 5:30, almost 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like bright sun outside. There's like bright, like there's no darkness. It's all bright. And I'm like, "What's happening? What time is it?" It's like 5:45 a.m. I'm like, "What's happening? It's crazy." I end up taking a 2-hour nap because in my mind, I am gonna go to, because I don't have pants now, and I got to do a show. I don't have pants. I'm wearing shorts. So I said, I got to go to the mall. I asked the driver about the mall, and he told me all the names of the malls, whatever. So I wake up 2 hours later, I take a 2-hour nap to have breakfast and then go buy pants. So when I go take a cab to the mall, as I'm eating breakfast in the hotel, some guy comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, are you here for the blah 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 TV show?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, so am I. You're Neri, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I'm something Mike's friend." I go, "What?" Like I'm like 2 hours. I'm running on 2 hours sleep, and I'm like, "What? Like what's going on? Like it's taking me." I'm like, "What?" And he's like,
Yes.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm blah 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 Quan, Mike's friend." And I'm like, "Oh, what's up, man?" And then he walked away, and I was like, "Did he say he was Chris Quan?" And I was like,
You know Chris Quan.
But I'm like fucking again, just running on 2 hours sleep in the last 48 hours. Like I'm in 24 hours,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fucking gone. And I'm like, what now? So then I go get my food because I hadn't gotten food yet. I go get my food. I sit down and I see him across
Job
the
one.
way.
Yeah.
So I go over there to him and I go, "Hey, bro, what was your name again, bro? I'm sorry." And he goes, "Brian Quan." I go, "Oh, Brian Quan. I thought you said I thought you said another name." He goes, "Oh no, that's my cousin. Chris is my cousin." I go, "Oh, that makes." So now it's all coming together now. So him and I sit down together, and he's like, we sit down, like, "Hey, you mind if I join you?" Go, "Yeah, come on, man." And we're having a good time. We're eating, just talking shit, whatever, blah blah blah. And some dude comes up to us. Now we realize that this hotel is full of people that are on the show.
Right.
Which makes
All
sense.
the-
Which
yes.
makes sense. But again, I have just checked in and just took a 2 hour nap. I'm like, ugh.
You're still figuring shit out. Yeah.
I'm still like, because I'm like, oh, because again, if somebody would have been like, "Hey, do you think everybody that's on the show is going to be in the same hotel?" I would have said yes. But nobody's asked me that. And I'm just walking in, so I don't know. So I'm noticing everybody in the breakfast area looks kind of very American, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So some
They're
dude came
wearing
up.
they're wearing American flag shirts, and then
Some of them
Make
are.
America Great hats. There.
Well, that's some of them are wearing it without having to wear the actual hat. Some of them,
Yeah,
you
it's
could just
the mullet gives it away.
yeah. So then, we're there. Brian and I are there. We're talking for like 20, 30 minutes, and we're laughing. We're having a good time. And he, some guy comes up to our table that he's in a group behind us, and he's in a group full of people, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, "Hey, are you guys here for the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then Brian's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "We started a group chat on WhatsApp. I don't know if you guys have WhatsApp, but we started a group chat.
Uh-oh.
And we're like, if you guys want to join, it's totally up to you. If you guys want to join, so we're gonna be doing like sending like notifications, like in case the production team sends us notes or whatever, blah blah blah, or whatever. Or you guys want to hang out, grab drinks later or whatever. So we're all doing a group chat if you guys want to do a group chat." So at this point, I'm sitting down and I'm looking up, and I'm looking at this guy talking, and he is kind of talking to both of us, but he's more facing Brian than me.
Okay.
And so when he says this, this was my face, right? This is my face that he did not see. This is my face.
I wish you
And it was
got some lag.
Yeah. So I was like,
Yeah, roll your eyes.
Roll my eyes. And I was about to, I opened my mouth to hesitantly say, "Yeah, I guess, whatever." Like, yeah, whatever, that's, I got to give you my number because you asked for it. And I got to fucking whatever. And as I'm about to open my mouth to say this, Brian goes, "No."
Oh, no, thank you.
No. He didn't say no, thank you.
Oh, no.
He said no.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And I now open my eyes and go, like, I was like now and like wide-eyed, and it was like,
yeah,
mentally thinking, "Oh, that was an option.
Someone broke the social contract.
That was
like
an
the
option."
expected yes was now a no.
And I was like, and then the guy, he goes, "Oh, okay." And then the guy looked at me, turns around, looks at me, and I literally just point to Brian and was like, "Yeah, no, what he said." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever, blah blah." Like the guy was totally cool about it, wasn't a jerk about it or anything. But I look at it, look at him.
I would have given him I would have a Google phone number just for that.
No, I just don't want to be in a chat. I just don't want to be in a group chat. And
Fair.
so, I first of all, I'm not a fan of group chats with people that I know and love. And especially if that number exceeds 4 or 5. Like that's where my group chat limit. Like that's like after 5, it starts getting like, "Oh, this is kind of absurd."
Yeah. It's like, all right, enough. I mute the second I'm put into a group chat. I mute it immediately because there's no way that that's going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. Like, I don't understand when people add some people expect like it to be old school AOL chat rooms where everybody's just chiming away, and it's like, I do not need this in my life. I refuse to partake.
But here's the thing. I'm okay if that's the case. If you have that kind of friendship with people that, hey, man, this is an old school. I have one of those chats, right, with the franchise, because we have an established friendship, right?
Yes.
Like we have an established
From back in the
relationship.
AOL days.
But it doesn't even matter about when. It matters like these are people
The
that I care
style
of
of communication.
These are people that I care about keeping in contact with. The fact that there's all these people, we know like how many people are going to be on this show. Like they tell us, the production is like, this is how many people over there, not including crew, just the cast and all that stuff there.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, this is a high number, dude.
Yolanda's got it right. I just leave the chat.
Yeah.
They add you to the chat. You're like, bye.
Bye. And so I was like, I don't want to do like, so I was very happy that Brian spoke up. I said, great. I just pointed at him and said, I'll take what he's having. And then he leaves, the guy leaves, and I look over at Brian, and Brian goes, can you believe that fucking asshole?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Fuck this guy.
I immediately, because that's not the conversation that's not what I would have said.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would have said, oof, we dodged a close one.
Yeah.
That's what I would have said. Like, oof.
He's like, fuck that guy.
He goes, can you believe that fucking asshole? And I was like, this is the vibe I'm getting from this. I'm like, yes, bro. Okay. And he's like, fuck this guy. How dare he fucking give, I'm going to give you my fucking number. So what, you going to talk to me? He's like, about emails that production's already sending us. Yeah. We just read the fucking email. We all have email, but it's not like only one of it's not like only one person in the country has email access, and then we got to rely on you to fucking relay the information. All of us have email address.
What a power grab. There's always some ego that wants to be the star of the group chat, the one that puts everything together, because it's going to be easier to communicate. But it's like it's going to be easier for you to feel important, is what it is.
So here's the thing. So then he's like, you know what it is, and then he starts speaking to me in Spanish, which the fucking shit's gonna get juicy at that point, right?
That's exactly
right. It's about to get juicy. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Kwan is Mike's best friend.
My best friend.
He was on the pod. He was on when Mike moved to New York. Mike, in his infinite wisdom, was like, your new co-host is gonna be Chris Kwan, and I'm like, cool. Because Mike is a good friend of mine. I love Mike. Me and Chris should hit it off. And me and Chris were literally Elaine and George Costanza.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Like we have nothing against each other. I like Chris. I don't know how Chris feels about me, but I'm sure it's fine. Like it's fine. But without Jerry, there's no like interaction. Yes. There's no like we just don't have the chemistry. It's just
I was trying to bridge my two universes.
Yeah.
Like when two friend groups start to meld, especially in a situation where it's like a podcast where you have to be personable and like talk into a microphone and about topics, you have to have banter. Right. Those two worlds merged and the gears just went.
But it wasn't even merging. It was like atom smashing. It was like these are two worlds. And I was like, okay. So Chris Kwan, and again, friend of the show, Mike's best friend in life, great guy, but that lasted all of like maybe 4 episodes.
It didn't work out.
And I was like, all right, and it was mutual. It was like, he was like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to show up. And I'm like, cool. And we never called each other again.
Yeah.
It was like the podcast equivalent of like when your call gets disconnected because the reception is bad. And then you decide not to call them back, and they decide not to call you back, and be like, "Well, apparently the conversation was over anyway."
I guess
that's just the way it was.
Ended.
Yeah, so that's what the Chris Kwan situation was. And again, I've hung out with Chris after that, but always with Mike in the room. Always with Mike in the room. Like we need Jerry, Elaine, and George Costanza need Jerry. You can't just put.
Yeah, I am the nexus. I am the nexus of both of your universes. I am the Scarlet Witch of both of your universes. I want to make a reference, but you haven't seen Deadpool.
No, I haven't seen it. So so then
we can't talk about it. We can't. So listeners, watchers,
the
viewers,
fact that you even brought up something connecting universes is already pissing me off. Like it's already fucking bothering me. The fact that you brought that. No. I don't watch trailers, and you know this. So this is already an issue.
You saw the second Deadpool.
No, I fucking didn't. Oh, the second Deadpool, I guess.
The second
whatever.
Deadpool when he
Yeah,
goes
whatever.
time traveling to the different multiverses.
But again, I don't know that that's going to be referenced in part 3. That could have just been a fun fourth wall breaking, which is what I literally thought for the last 3 or 4 years.
There's nothing I can say that will prepare you, or spoil
whatever.
anything.
Let's move on. Let's move on. So this guy, so that's who Chris Kwan is. So Brian Kwan is Chris's cousin. So Brian, I'm meeting, and within like 20 minutes, when he was like, "Can you believe this fucking asshole?" I was like, "Oh, this guy's my fucking cut of gib, my cut of gib right here. This guy is it." So we just start laughing, and then he starts talking Spanish, and he was like, "You know what it is that these motherfuckers aren't professionals like you and me. These motherfuckers are like 9-to-5ers, and they're just happy-go-lucky people. Like, we're just happy to be here, and we're just like, no, fuck you. This isn't your vacation. We're not on vacation. We're here to fucking work. Yeah. You're just because it's your vacation, and so they think we're gonna stay in communication for the rest of our lives. It's gonna be a magical thing. Like, no,
it's like it's summer camp.
Job. Right. That's exactly what Brian said. He's like, this ain't summer camp. We're not gonna. And I go, yeah. And I said what I said. My part to the conversation was, they think it's gonna be like we're gonna be friends forever. Like, no, bitch, we're not being friends forever. We're not whatever. So he was he went with me to go to the mall to buy pants. While I'm at the mall, I get a call from the airline that my luggage is there. So now I'm gonna go pick up my luggage. It's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing. We get to the orientation that afternoon. A few hours later, we get to the orientation, and then I text him, Brian, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, I like to sit in the front because I'm blind." I go, "Perfect, I'm blind too." So we sit in the front, and immediately bond over hating every dumb motherfucker in there asking dumb motherfucking questions, and we just immediately
yes,
look at this guy
because he's in the industry. I don't want to give I don't want to say anything too much about him. I don't want to he's about his personal information.
He's in the industry behind the camera side.
Yes, so he's in the entertainment industry in a producerial capacity.
Yeah.
So he's one of these people where he's genuinely I immediately when you said that I know I'm like he's there to do the job of being on this show, not yay, like he's there like let's do it, baby, let's get to work. So whenever anybody's interrupting, you know how like there's people at your job that ask questions just to have their voice heard, and then you're like, bro, meeting, end the meeting. Yeah, I completely get it.
So here's the thing, this whole meeting was not only one of those things where this meeting could have been an email,
right?
This meeting was literally a series of emails that were already sent. But I am not blaming the production because there's dumb people on the universe, and it's not the same thing as we work for this company. We've had training in this company. When you work a 9-to-5 and you work an office job, and like this meeting could have been an email, and you get upset because we've all had the same training. We all have not had the same training.
Yes.
So this is a show, a TV show. So we've not had the same training. So I understand from their perspective. I understand why this meeting was necessary. What me and Brian kept going back and forth on, or kept laughing at, or getting upset about, is these people's questions, and we're like, what the fuck? We're like, we don't shut up, shut the fuck up, and just laughing at them, and we immediately bonded, whatever, and cut to, we hung out that night. We went like a 2-hour walk. We went on a 2-mile walk, and just hanging out, me and him, right? Because it gets dark super late in Dublin. It gets dark like at 10 p.m. And then it gets light like at 10:52 p.m. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, it's nuts over here, right? So we're hanging out, we're having a good time, bro. We're laughing. Oh my god, whatever. We're sharing feelings. It's fucking great. Next morning, right? We have to 6:30 is the call time. So we have to be up and ready at the hotel lobby at 6:30 in the morning. So we're up at 6:30 in the morning. We say hi to each other, whatever. When we go, and now we're getting fitted, we're going through our wardrobe, we're going through our makeup process. The whole thing is happening. It's happening while we're doing the run through in the beginning, which takes hours. Right? People don't understand how long. It's like, okay, let's cut and let's get this camera angle and let's get the whatever. It's like hours of setup. You're just hanging back for hours, just waiting for the cameras to be set up, right? And at like hour 10 of our day, some other people were there on the show. Cast members, and they were like, hey, how long have you guys been friends? to me and Brian.
And you're like looking at your watch, like
Yeah.
hours. Like
I literally looked at my watch and Brian goes, "It's gonna be 24 hours soon." Like he's not like we're not even at 24 hours yet. And he's like, "Wow."
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "Man, you guys have really good chemistry." And I swear to God, like a fucking bitch, I clutched my pearls and I was like, "Hey, we do have good chemistry. We do. This is nice. I like this. This is nice." And then sure enough, that was 2 days ago. Yesterday, or that was yesterday. Today, during filming, a different person asked us, "How long have you guys known each other?" We're like, 48 hours, bro. And then they're like, "Man, you guys seem like you've known each other your whole lives." And we're like, "Yeah." So it's very, again, just goes to show you, same DNA in Chris Cron. Like we were just like,
Chris,
we need Jerry. We need Jerry. And I talked to Brian about this. I talked to Brian about this. I'm like, he told me the same thing about you. He goes, "I like Mike, but I know Mike. We didn't probably together, but I know Mike pretty much through Chris. So whenever Chris is not around, it's a little weird because it's not organic." And I go, "Oh my God, thank God you said that." And then I told him the whole Chris Kwan thing. And I was like, I feel like, and I go, "Are you a fan of Seinfeld?" And he goes, "Yes." I go, I feel like me and Chris are Elaine and George." And he goes, "Yes, it doesn't work without Jerry." And I go, and he goes, and I go, "Mike is our Jerry." Yeah. So so you and Brian are Elaine and George, and you need Jerry, which is Chris.
And again, like it's always interesting to see how that plays out, especially with people who would otherwise you would assume that you're like, yeah, of course you guys would get along. You know, you guys like sports, you guys talk about basketball, you guys could talk about comedy, you guys could talk, and then all of a sudden it's like crickets, you know, and then you go on a nice, lovely date with Brian through Ireland.
Not even just breakfast. Breakfast was all he had me at breakfast. He had me at
You're like, oh. Yeah. And now this is how you tell me I've been replaced on the show. Yeah, and I get it.
So I've been talking to my wife, and you know, again, just throughout the last 2 days, obviously telling her about the show and like how my experience is going.
About your new boyfriend.
And then, but also about Brian, right? Because again, me and my wife talk on a daily basis every day, no matter whether I'm on a cruise ship, we just talk every day. And we just, "How was your day?" Like she tells me about her day and whatever.
Yeah, of course.
And I tell her about my day.
Like
but
you guys love each other and want to communicate and share your lives.
Right. But my day is in Ireland. So like, I'm like, "Hey, this is what's happening." And she's like very interested in what's happening, whatever. And what's happening on the show. I'm like, "Oh, I can't tell you the specifics, but it's fun and whatever. We're having a good time. You know, it's a lot of standing around, but it's good, you know, whatever." So I'm doing all of this. And I'm telling her about Brian. And I told her the same thing basically about Brian that I just told you in the last 20 minutes. But I've been telling her as it's happened. So today on the bus back to the hotel room from shooting, I go, "Hey, this is I call her because the bus is pretty much empty." So I call her and it says Brian next to me. And then she's like, "Hey, whatever." I go, "Hey, this is Brian, whatever." And then she goes, don't start oh, he's going to be a new podcast. You guys are going to start a new podcast. And I said, and then I go, no, he's not, like, this isn't the same type of guy. Like Brian is flat out not a podcast guy. Like he's verbally said, like, "Fuck podcast, but stupid."
Yeah,
like, but you do your thing. But you do your thing.
Yeah.
He's great. So yeah, man, he's fantastic. We're having a good time. We're having a blast.
Yolanda says, just remember to use protection with Brian. That's all. Just be safe, man.
I don't think I have to. I think I trust him.
I feel like you've crossed that. You know, it's so funny that you're talking about, like, it really, there are times where I want to get all of my, like, I don't want to plan multiple things if I have like different friends groups going on. I just want to have one event and then have everybody show up. But then there's always that weird vibe of like, will my friends be friends?
Sure.
You know, if I have only met like one, I've met like a few of the franchise, like a handful of the franchise.
I don't even remember you meeting them, to be honest with you. I don't even remember you.
Who have I met? I may have met one or two of your friends. I don't know if they're of the franchise group, but I met of your friends. But it is very much like it's got to be like introducing your, like when you bring a girlfriend home for the first time, or where you're like,
what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Huh? You guys?
Yeah. And then there's like a big. Speaking of polite Irish people, here is Colin Farrell. Have you seen the trailer to the new Penguin show?
Yes, bro, excellent. I didn't even mean to because I was like, again, my theory on trailers are, if I know I'm going to watch it, I don't need to see the trailer because the whole point of the trailer is to hook you to want to watch something. I already know I'm gonna watch it. So,
Okay, so-
but I did end up watching this one because I was like, oh, this okay.
Farrell, check out the trailer for my new series.
Is this-
Hi, I'm Colin Farrell. Check out the trailer for my new series, Penguin.
Trust me, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, this looks so much like we have to talk about, because San Diego Comic-Con was this weekend, and lots of announcements and things.
Life is just a dream.
You promised me, Oswald.
I know.
I deserve a better life.
We don't have to watch the whole thing, but I wanted to get to one particular point.
I love the way this trailer is cut. Like just the music tone, just it sets the tone correctly.
Right there.
Yeah,
the voiceover.
Beautiful story with a happy ending. But that ain't the way the world works.
Oh, it's so good.
America's a hustle.
America's a hustle. What a good.
Not that I'm complaining.
Amazing.
Penguin.
Tone.
You walked
Perfect.
in here like you mean something.
We're in the middle of a gang war. Fartbuckle's dead. If we don't protect what's ours, we just look weak. The streets are talking again. You know, there's only one man big enough to run this city.
Do you remember Carmine's door? Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sophia, I thought you was still at
Arkham?
Okay.
Yeah.
That sold me. I like this actress. I don't remember her name. I love this actress. Once the tone, like, because we if you watched the Batman, the original, the one that came out, the actual movie, and you watch all the penguin scenes were awesome. I loved the penguin.
Yes.
All the penguin scenes were fucking good. And then when they announced that they're making a penguin show, I'm like, yeah, cool. As long as it's like a gritty crime drama, like it. And it's like perfect. Like they're nailing it. They're threading the needle perfectly. It's a fucking.
Isn't it funny? Wouldn't it be weird if it wasn't like a gritty? Like that whole movie was super gritty. Like, wouldn't it be weird if this was like a super polished, like Neo, like just
or like the '60s Batman, where all of a sudden you see Colin Farrell going, "Meh," you know,
wham,
Yeah.
and yeah, we fucking,
you know. But yeah, the whole setting it up like because that's what I think people forget, that like Gotham and Batman like started out as just a straight up crime drama. Like it was all about like the 40s gangsters. You know, it was like that's kind of the whole thing. Gotham was this kind of like corrupt town run by mobsters, and then Batman cleans it up, and then it became this whole other thing eventually. But that it really was just like fighting organized crime in a bat suit.
But I specifically love the fact that Gotham is never cleaned up, like in the comics, and like it's never cleaned up. And I always laugh because every time Batman's doing, to clean up Gotham, I'm always like, you failed, bro. Like
he's bad at it.
He's really not good. Your methods are clearly not working. Like for being the world's greatest detective, your methods, like you have to get crime sheet reports, right? Like this is not working. Like you don't ever feel like rolling up the hill with the boulder and it's going to bring it back down. Like, you're not ever accomplishing anything.
That is a great analogy for Batman. The Sisyphus, where he gets to the thing and then the ball rolls back down the hill. That's really
and not to get too nerdy with comics, right? With the actual comic books, not comic related stuff. But in the comic books, his Robin becomes Nightwing. And his Nightwing goes on to get his own city where he's not Gotham. He's Nighthaven or Winterhaven. I think what it's called.
Something, yeah.
I think it's Winterhaven. I'm pretty sure. And he does a great job of cleaning up that city. Everybody that's under Batman and gets their own city, they do a great job of cleaning up the city. It's only Gotham that only stays in a perpetual toilet bowl. Like it's just a piece of shit. Like Superman has clearly done his shit. It's clearly Metropolis is a metropolis. It's all these things are happening. The Flash in his city is like he's cleaned it up. Everybody but Batman. Like Batman's Gotham is just shit. Fucking is like the dark cloud hanging over the whole DC universe.
All right, let's get into it because Batman needs it to stay bad for him to avoid dealing with his trauma.
Right. It's kind of like when that doctor keeps giving you medication, but it's not helping you, and you're staying sick, but you just keep going back to him, and he's like, I think he's just making you. I don't know if he's making you sick, but he's clearly not making you healthy, and I think he's doing that so you could go back to him.
Batman. Gotham has Munchausen by proxy because of Batman.
Yeah,
That's the disease of like keeping somebody sick, so you have to take care of them.
right.
It's like that constant thing. What a deep and again like intellectual way to think about this. Once again, we are not qualified to make any kind of intellectual comments about this stuff.
I am absolutely qualified to talk
we-
about Batman and comic books. Like I am
not about
really,
Munchausen by proxy. It's
but
like
I am not.
psychiatric
I am
disorder.
not. I am not talking about that. I am talking about this is what Batman, the fictional character in the comic book, seems to have. Like you know what? Come at me, fictional character, for maldiagnosing you. Like I'm fine. I'll take that heat. I'll take that smoke.
Yeah.
What?
So we have, I mean, the reason this is coming out now, I think it's going to be on Max. It's going to be one of their things, I guess. Is it HBO Max again or?
So here's the thing. So it wasn't, but I think for this specific show, they went back to it. They were the way they were saying it because they were using that because now it's like, I think it was because it was supposed to be a Max original, but they were like, oh, if we say a Max original, the HBO logo name brand is nowhere near. So now they changed it to like HBO original, and I'm like, wait, what? Are we back to HBO?
Yeah, because HBO was the show. Because also, Creature Commandos, the new DC.
That looks sick too, bro. That looks fucking.
Bro, it looks sick. So I would like to say, just without any kind of judgment or anything like that, just my own personal vibes and opinion. So San Diego Comic-Con was this weekend. I don't know how much of it you have been able to see or catch up on. I'm sure you have some downtime. You can look at it.
I only know the big news. Like I only saw the big news. I didn't see
so big news stuff is that they announced the new DC logo. James Gunn just announced today that the shooting for Superman is finished. They're ready to start like all of these projects and like they're just excited about what they got so far. And it, genuinely, of the things that came out of San Diego Comic-Con, the announcements for Marvel were supposed to be these huge groundbreaking things. Marvel announced the Fantastic Four. They showed some footage of it. Of course, I've seen the bootlegs of it. Because they announced that Fantastic Four is going to take place in like alternate Earth 1960s with super like retro futuristic tech. But it's basically like Reed Richards is like part of still in the 60s. And everything is happening in like this other universe.
In the 60s, but like a different 60s where Hispanics were allowed to marry white women.
Exactly. Yeah. One of those where Pedro Pascal is not going to be viewed as like less than. It's like, oh, he's pretty smart for one of these. I was going to say, can I say ethnic? Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's mine. It's technically mine.
Yeah. But YouTube doesn't know that. YouTube is not gonna. Yeah.
YouTube is not going to be like, is he Hispanic? Is he Latino?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how sophisticated the algorithm is. Where it was like, I sense in la voz que él también puede decir eso.
Is it Mercadal or is it Mercadal? We never know. So they released this stuff about them being in the 60s, and it is arguably interesting. It's just that I don't like the Pedro Pascal choice. I did not enjoy. He's great in everything he does.
You don't like Latinos? You don't like Latinos?
No, not at all. If it's not me, I don't want. I'm the George Lopez of Latino actors. I will pull the ladder up behind me. But the idea of him, he looks like Pedro Pascal looks in literally every other Pedro Pascal role. Like he doesn't.
I mean, what's he supposed to look?
He always has the mustache. He always has. Like I understand. Like the only one that he didn't have the mustache.
In all fairness, he does not have the mustache in
Wonder Woman.
No, in Good Wife. The TV show Good
Wife. From a billion years ago.
Yeah.
But he does
that I am now currently watching, by the way. I'm now currently binging, and it is a great show.
Again, you got to talk to my wife. She was obsessed with that show and the subsequent Good Fight series.
Yes, absolutely. Which is up next on the queue.
On the queue. But I was never a fan of the casting choice of Pedro Pascal. But I mean, he's a great actor, so I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure I'll enjoy whatever it is. But I'm like, oh, that's a weird choice. Then the news comes out. They do this huge announcement. I'm trying to think of what other
The Russo brothers. The Russo brothers.
Right. The Russo brothers are coming back to replace the Kang dynasty because of Jonathan Majors. Got fired. They're trying to brush the Kangs sweep the Kang under the rug.
Did they mention that? Because I only saw the video of the reveal, but did they talk about
They would never mention that in a public setting like that.
No, but did they mention like, oh, it's no longer? Because did they say it's no longer the Kang dynasty? Did they say that?
Yes,
because
they announced.
Because one thing is saying the new Avengers is now going to be called Doomsday or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yes.
Did they just say it that way, or did they flat out say the next Avengers will no longer be Kang Dynasty? Instead, it will be Doomsday.
No,
that's what I want to know. There's a difference between
that.
mentioning specifically Kang Dynasty.
They did not mention. I guarantee you. I haven't watched the whole thing front to back, just clips. But I'm like 99% sure the word Kang was not uttered once. But they announced the Russos. They did the reverse. They announced 2026 Secret Wars, which is going. That's the name of that new one. And then they're like, well, we're back for this, but we can't tell that story without a story that we feel is super important and blah, blah, blah. So my envisioning of what they did is they brought the Russos in to then say that the Russos are choosing to rewrite the MCU. And they're like, the story we want to tell is one called Doomsday. And then they show the thing Doomsday 2025, which is next year. They must be already filming it. Like I don't know how it's going to come out next year, but Doomsday is going to happen. And
it's probably going to be December 2026. I'm assuming
probably right? December 2025 for Doomsday, and then 2026 for probably that. And then they go, we can only imagine one actor, powerful or whatever, like to embody the role of such an important character as Dr. Doom. And then they have all these Doom people lined up. They separate whatever they come out, and the mask comes off, and it's fucking Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. My favorite is that in the video right before the reveal, somebody yells out, Jared Leto. Like he literally said, like, guess Jared Leto.
Literally anybody. And then you could literally hear people. There was a moment of like, where people were like, they were going to cheer no matter what.
Well, they were going to love it. And then they loved it because they love seeing his face. But then they're like, then the confusion sets in. I'm like, what's happening?
What is happening? And I immediately was more confused than I was enthused. You know what I mean? Like I was more confused than I was excited about. I was like, this, what? And then immediately I was like, does it devalue the death of Iron Man, of Tony Stark? And I'm like, oh man. So, and the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is either a terrible choice in my opinion, or it's a misdirect. It could be a lie.
I don't know. Look, so here's the thing. First of all, before we get to that, isn't Secret Wars already a TV show? Didn't it already come out, a series?
No, that was Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. So that wasn't the same as Secret. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it is not the same. They are different. Yeah. So there's a lot of speculation that there, of course, will be other actors playing variants, or who knows, what the multiversal bullshit they're going to use for this one. But there's a lot of people that they're using this announcement to get people excited, but not reveal too much. And I'm hoping that's what it is. I
don't care, bro. Give it to me. I don't give a fuck. Whatever.
Of course,
rewrite it. Who gives a shit? Whatever. Just rewrite. So here's what made me. First of all, you want to post up that picture I sent you guys of why he took that job? What Variety is saying?
Oh wait, hold on.
He took that job. Because I'm one of those people. I'm along for the ride. Just give me the ride. Here's what I thought was cheesy. Not the casting of it, but the fact that the casting of it was necessary. The fact that they had to bring in the Russo brothers was necessary, because it quickly showed you, it obviously and painfully and showed you that Marvel itself understood we are going, since Endgame, we have not been the same, and we have had more misses than we're used to. And by that, I mean any, because they didn't have any. And so
they were they were so
And then after Endgame, they had some good ones, and that's whatever standalones, but the continuity it didn't feel the same. And they had to go reach back, and it felt like when they went to get Michael Jordan when he played for the Wizards, like, look, we got Michael Jordan, and it's like, I guess it's Michael Jordan. I mean, we love him.
Porcupine Jason, what's up? He says, is there no other actors left on this planet? And I'm like, yes, there so obviously are more actors.
Jared Leto.
Everyone was really pushing for Cillian Murphy. And I would have, a fellow Irishman like yourself now, I thought that was great, but like that would have been great. But this, so like what you were talking about, a new article in Variety, Downey Letty's going to be doing. The Russos, according to the piece, are taking home $80 million of their work for their work, and then it says, so Downey's paycheck is more than theirs, and he doesn't have to share it with a brother. So it's at least $80 million for himself. Are they saying $100 million
for both movies?
For both movies,
which is still an absurd amount of money.
Yeah,
because remember, for a long time, the industry standard for A-listers is $20 million per movie. That's like been the benchmark for decades now.
Yeah,
and now they're saying more than 80 million, so easily 25 million each, right?
Yeah.
Or 80, no, 4, I'm sorry, listen to me. Easily 45 million each, right? For each movie. And read the rest of the article, Mike.
This is going to be what everybody is thinking as soon as this is another thing you said me. This is literally what everyone will be thinking. That's why it's so confusing to me. But what was the rest of the...
read the rest of the article, because the 80 million was impressive, but it wasn't the end of it.
That payday could easily be in the 100 million range. Likely doesn't include whatever Downey will make from his cut of the box office. So that means he's getting plus a percentage.
Yes, because he's gonna get a point. You know, he's gonna get at least a point for that movie.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know Hollywood math, is like when they get points, like each point is equal percentage of the movie. So sometimes actors will be offered, hey, we can't pay you upright, we can't pay you up front right now, but you'll take a percentage home of the total gross. And it's a gamble if you're an actor, like, oh man, whatever. Some notorious stories in Hollywood where that people turn down points for like huge box office successes, and like which would have made them, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they've turned that down. But Downey's getting his cake and eating it too. He's like, I'm taking this huge payday before the movie starts, and I'm gonna take a point, off the fucking box office. And
like,
I think
he's
good.
already responsible for so much of the success, but this does feel like God, I'm trying to think of an example of when people were like a comfort casting, where they're like,
that's what I'm saying. They just went back into their bag and was like, we need to go. When was the last time that everything was fine? Oh, when we had Robert and the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And they just went
you
back
think
to
it's a
that.
PR move? You think it's just
it's not about a PR move. It's about they are in panic mode. It's clear and obvious to me, at least in my opinion. It's clear that they are in panic mode, and they're pulling out their fucking big guns, even if their big guns don't make sense. It's like, but he died, and this actor played another actor. It was already weird when Chris Evans, who was the Human Torch in a previous movie, was then Captain America. That was already awkward to me. Now you're pulling back somebody who, for the last 12 years, was Iron Man, and now you're making him another iconic character.
Yeah, like that's the thing, is that everybody, like, there's a lot of people who are like,
it's clearly going to be in a different universe. It's clearly going to be the time stone, and it's clearly going to be like rewritten, whatever. And that's I'm fine with it. But to me, it just smells of desperation for
it does smack of desperation, and it does make you like. I would like to say, without any judgment or anything like that.
No, I'm judging. I don't care.
This is the first Comic-Con in a minute where I have been more excited about the DC stuff than the Marvel stuff. Where I am like super excited about whatever Superman Legacy is going to do. I'm super excited about this Penguin show. I'm super excited about Creature Commandos. I'm super excited about just like the energy going into DC properties. And this is the first time that Marvel, like not the first, but like since COVID, where Marvel announced all this stuff and then like kind of did not deliver in the way that I've we were obsessed with. We would go to those things all the time. We watched all these things together. Like it was like appointment viewing, and it was like super exciting to have this continuing story. And now, like, I didn't watch. Did you watch Echo, the Disney Plus show Echo?
Nope.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch the Marvels. I didn't watch the Marvels, the movie, The Marvels.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's not because I was like, oh, I women, or I don't. It just wasn't interesting enough for me to make it appointment viewing.
Yes,
that's all it was. That's all
like,
it was.
I'll catch it.
I'll catch it whenever I catch it.
Yeah.
Like it became one of those. If cable was still around, it became one of those. I'll watch it on TNT.
I'll watch it on TNT. There's a lot. Man, that is a great analogy. There's a lot of TBS level shit coming out of Marvel.
Yes.
There's a lot of Meet the Perrys or whatever they're fucking called. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that level, mid-level shit coming out of it, where it used to be HBO. It used to be The Sopranos. It used to be Game of Thrones, appointment watching.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's literally like, oh, is this still on? Is this a rerun?
Yeah.
No, this is new. This is new. There's a new thing. You know, that's what it feels like.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And again, here's the problem. They gave us excellence for so long.
Yeah.
That when they give us something that's just good, it feels like a letdown because it's just good, right? And we talked about this like with last week when we talked about like the She-Hulk show and all these stuff. There's nothing wrong. It's not a bad She-Hulk is not bad. It's just not the level of excellence that we have gotten for 12 years from Marvel.
Exactly.
So that's all that is, man. But I'm excited for all of it. I'll watch all of it. I'm gonna watch all of it. It's fine.
I am going to watch all of it. But it is like an odd pivot to be like, oh, the DC stuff I'm super pumped for. Like the Penguin trailer, perfect.
There was a tweet about how like it's weird how DC seems to be like, we're gonna take our time and world build and universe build, and we're gonna take our time and then Marvel is now the one that's saying like, here's a big name, the big name.
Superman and Batman are gonna fight each other, you know, like that. That level of like something's happening.
We have comments on Instagram. Bossum says, I just want to cast I just want them to cast much younger for all these future roles. Like he's not anti Robert Downey Jr. He's saying like, how many films does he have in him? Where he himself, Robert Downey Jr. has proven, and Chris Evans and Marvel in general has proven that these are not a 1 to 2 movie commitments. These are usually these because lifetime. They make everything quote unquote connecting. You what a there's only but Dr. Doom could be old. It doesn't. Dr. Doom doesn't need to be a physically empowering. He's fine.
But if it's an evil version of Tony Stark that comes up somewhere in some universe, that's not Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? Like that's not how. That's
their Dr. Doom. Just like Ultron was not. Ultron was not in the comics. Not created by Tony Stark. Ultron in the comics was created by Hank Pym. But they changed it, and that became the lure. So I mean, that's the way they write it, man.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
You can't be that guy who's like,
I know.
Luke Skywalker will never act that way. Well, apparently he did. Because that's the way they fucking wrote it. So
this is not the choice. I'll say this: I, as a person who watches all of these things and has been there from the beginning, it doesn't instill confidence in me where I'm just like, okay, let's see what you do with it. I'm not. It's different than when like I don't know when something would like when they announced. I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of an example of when something comes out and it was like fuck yes, like the news of it was super exciting. The idea of it, maybe when they announced Batman v Superman back in the day. In like 2017 or like 20 whatever it was 2007 whatever the fuck it was that they announced Batman v Superman, they showed that symbol on the screen. I was like, what? Like so excited. Now it's like when your friend tells you that they're gonna do something and you're like, okay man,
hey,
All right, I'll see. We'll see what happens when it happens.
One of my favorites. One of my favorites was I saw somebody reply with the dodgeball meme. He's like, oh, they show Robert Downey taking off the mask, and then they show that's a bold strategy, Colin.
Let's hope it works out for him.
Let's hope it works out for them. And
yeah, it does feel like
I'm excited. To be honest with you, I am excited but I was also confused. Like I'm allowed to be both. It's not like I have to love it from minute one, from second one.
Yeah,
I was like, oh shit, that's cool as fuck, and that's a cool ass reveal. No, that moment itself is pretty fucking dope. But then immediately it's followed by, huh?
Yeah, it's like whoa.
Huh? Yeah,
wait.
And you could be both, and you could be like, and then you could be like, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I went through like all the phases of like anger, denial, bargaining, acceptance. Yeah, where it's just like, what? No, this can't be it. Is it?
You're making deals. You're like, well, maybe. What if? And then you start making deals with yourself,
like with myself or with like, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just going to receive the content as it is delivered to me. But it is definitely one of those things where I was like, all right, that's where I'm at now, where I'm just like, my first impulse was like, what? Then I'm like, no, this is a lie.
My first one was excitement, and then it was what, how, and then it was like, well, maybe it's an alternate universe where he sees himself dying. He sees, Iron Man sees himself dying,
right?
And so I'm thinking this, right, and then I'm like, oh, is that good? And I'm like, yeah, well, let's. And then I'm now at the let's see what happens. Maybe they make it work, whatever.
We can all agree. At least I can agree with Porcupine Jason here. I agree with you. It does not inspire confidence. I am less confident in it. I'm not like, I don't want to shit on it because I'm sure it'll be interesting. But it's also like, what? Especially on the heels of all of the decisions that they've made lately, where I'm just like, all right.
Well, so here's the only thing that I would say to their defense is they are batting, the Russo brothers and Robert Downey Jr. together are batting 1,000.
Yeah.
You could question all you want to question, but they have provided no evidence that they are not going to give you amazingness.
I hope that this is an experience like Porcupine Jason. Fantastic Four does seem to be one of those cursed comics that just can't get right. That they just can't get right. I challenge that. Like, I want to go into it like we did with Fan Four Stick, where I'm like, the bar is low, and then we ended up there. We were gonna talk on the show. We literally went in with our microphones, and we were gonna shit because the theater was empty. Everyone,
it was only because it was just opening day, so that's why it was empty.
It was only opening. It was crazy to me that it was fucking dead, and it was that thing of everyone had reviewed it like, I watched Fantastic Four, so you don't have to, and here's how it sucks, and blah blah blah. And then everyone was like, oh, that movie sucks. And I'm like, had you seen it? And that was the vibe of like, no one had actually seen this horrible movie, and we're giving opinions, shitting on it. And then when we went in there, I was like, this is fine. It's no worse than the other Fantastic Fours. It was just like a different vibe. And there were moments that were genuinely cool, not comic book accurate Doctor Doom, of course, like but it was like a version of it. And there were times where we were both afterwards, we were like, that was fun. That was good. Like a fun watch. Was it good? Man, that's debatable, but it's also, that doesn't matter. Did I have fun? It was the fun part. So now I'm hoping that with Fantastic Four, with that change in like vibe that they're going for, and the guy who's doing that movie was in charge of WandaVision. So WandaVision, I thoroughly enjoyed the whole style of it. So I hope that it has like that positive thing. The announcements of they didn't talk about it much on San Diego Comic-Con, but Agatha All Along looks great.
Wait, so real quick, on Instagram, Rookie says, I'm annoyed that they revealed it instead of keeping it on the wraps. I think it would have made me lose my mind if Dr. Doom's identity was a third act reveal. I almost, and then he says it's like going into the last Spider-Man movie and hearing, hi, I'm Peter for the first time. So here's where I'm going to.
Hi, Peter, where it shows that the Alfred Molina comes in from the other movies.
Right. So here's where I would say I agree and disagree with Rookie. I agree with you that would have been cool. I don't think it would have been possible to keep that on the wraps. I think that would have been too much of a thing. And here's why, to his own example about Spider-Man, I fucking knew that all the actors were in the movie. Not that I knew because Variety reported it, because I fucking felt it. I knew it going in. That moment to me meant nothing. When he goes, "Hi, I'm Peter," I'm like, yeah. Everybody, like, there was like, I don't want to say everybody. There were people around me that go, "Oh my god," and there was a lot of us that were like, "Yeah, what the fuck did you guys think was gonna happen?"
I think I think he's talking about when Doc Ock comes out and he says, "Hi, Peter," to Spider-Man. I don't know. I don't know what like
maybe.
But
either way, I expected him to be there too.
Yeah.
Like, what am I like? I wasn't shocked. The one I was legitimately shocked in, only because he would play such a is the Lizard. I was like, oh, they have the Lizard here. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
The one
and
that
they brought back, and they brought back Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. I was just gonna say that one was a surprise to me. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh my god, Jamie Foxx is in it. I was just like, oh, Jamie Foxx is in this. That's I don't know, man. If you saw that Spider-Man and you did not think going into it, you did not even hypothesize to yourself that the possibility of all three Spider-Mans and Doc Ock was going to be in there, like that meant nothing. Yeah. Like that was not a big. That was not a. I am
earth shattering. Yeah.
Remember that? Did you remember that moment? By the way,
what
the original Transformers movie? I saw an opening weekend, and when Optimus Prime and his fucking voice says, I am Optimus Prime," the fucking theater lost its loving mind, and we went bonkers, bro. Like, we were just like nerds jerking off in the corner, like, like it was just fucking bonkers, man.
I unabashedly love that first Transformers movie. It was fucking awesome.
I love most of those Transformers movies unabashedly, but I'm wrong. So I get it.
No, you're not wrong for loving them, but don't ever say that they're good.
Well, I'm wrong in the sense of according to the census, I'm wrong. So whatever. But I legitimately like part one, part two. I legitimately like Dark Side of the Moon. That was great, that was a great one, and people just like pass it over. I'm like, but that was really great.
There was one where they straight up do a commercial. Which was the one with the Romeo and Juliet laws explanation of like why, like, here's why I could bang a teenager, and he carries it around in his wallet. There was a whole scene, the one with Mark Wahlberg, the first one with Mark Wahlberg, where there was like a whole thing dedicated to the fact that he could bang a teenager, and it's just like, what? And then the movie just continues, like, we're not supposed to be like, what is happening?
We're not supposed to be like, Mark Wahlberg is 47 years old. What the fuck?
No, it was like the boyfriend. It's like Michael Bay. Who's putting this in this? Who wrote that? Like, why? Just make her 18, bro. Just do it. Who cares?
So there was I forget the one that was called, but it was something Night. That one was part 5, I think it was. I like that one.
The Arthur, the King Arthur one.
That one was cool too. But I will say this. I didn't see the latest one, the Beast Wars. I'm like, I didn't watch that one. So but again, it was a combination of didn't have time because I've been working way more this year than and also interest. I don't give a fuck. It was, if I would have had more interest, I would have made more of an effort to go watch it, and I did not.
That does see. Are you watching? So just the hard pivot, because we did see San Diego Comic-Con. They announced they released like The Boys. I don't know if you're watching The Boys. They talked about.
I started watching The Boys on the way over here on purpose. I was like, I'm gonna save this because I like to binge.
Yeah,
I don't like this bullshit.
I know you like to binge.
So I was like, purposely. So I just started watching, and I had yet to watch Gen V. So I watched. I watched Gen V for the week leading up to my flight. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of The Boys on the flight.
Are you watching? Do you remember when the Olympics were just on and you just watched them and they were always like on TV when you didn't have an alternative, when you didn't have the internet, you didn't have streaming, everything was like I feel like now you have to kind of really choose to watch the Olympics because nobody really watches live TV anymore.
Right. Well, here's 2 things. Yes, I remember that. But Peacock, from what I understand, because I'm not watching. I have not watched a second of the Olympics, only because the Olympics started the day that I was flying over to Ireland, and it's been a fucking whirlwind for me.
So did you watch the openings? Have you seen any of the openings?
I've seen 0 seconds. Okay. 0 seconds of zero anything. Nothing.
This is the first I've not seen. I did not watch it live, but people were commenting about it, and then people were posting clips about it. and because everybody's mad at the French for they like a metal band played, and Marie Antoinette was holding her head, and people were like, "Ugh." And then there was like doing a recreation of the Bacchanal, like some Dionysus thing.
That people, that's the thing that people thought it was the Last Supper, because dumb Americans cannot fucking compute that there are other paintings in the world.
Yeah. And then like they're like, what? That's the only piece of art that I know and use for my own political purposes incorrectly. I mean, that there's something else that may kind of look like that. Yolanda loved it. And when I tell you this,
she did mark herself safe. I saw that she marked herself safe from being offended by
yes, that's true. Gojira was this French metal band, which was a big deal for me to see. I was like, Gojira was in the opening ceremonies, like, and they're metal as fuck. And then when I tell you I wasn't ready, because I was at work on my break, and I was just watching clips of TikTok or whatever. And then all of the Celine Dion stuff started happening. She apparently I didn't know all of the how bad all of the Celine Dion illness stuff was. I didn't watch the documentary.
Yeah.
And then she comes out and then so like I'm receiving all of this information in real time on my lunch break. So everyone saw was me leave on my lunch break perfectly fine, and then come back, eyes swollen and red with tears,
distraught,
just completely blown away. Like, Celine Dion, she's a masterpiece. Like full on, like blown away. And everyone kind of like joking, like even like as you keep scrolling, you see people's reactions to it or whatever. And I was like, it's incredible, pretty amazing. All of the struggles that she's going through, and it was just like, what a way to like kind of start the show. And then, but I wasn't ready. I was at work, and now I had to go back to work. Like people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "It's my allergies." I got something in my emotions. Like I couldn't deal. It was like it hit me so hard. But the rest of the actual sports, I've seen one or two things, like
I haven't seen anything. I've heard about the ceremonies, but I haven't seen anything of it. I haven't seen a minute of it. I saw that one still that people got offended because they thought it was the Last Supper.
Right.
And I was like, but I literally, because I don't know, I'm not gonna lie and say I know about paintings,
about art,
but the guy, they were like, oh, this is sacrilege to the Last Supper, and I was like, two things. One, the Last Supper itself was a painting, was a artistic rendering of the Last Supper. I'm pretty sure they didn't all eat on the same side of the table. Like that's not really a thing.
That was painted a thousand years later.
That was painted 1,000 years later. One. So even if they're making a reference to that, you're upset because some artist is making a reference to another piece of art. Like that's weird.
Yeah.
And then as I'm saying this, I'm going, also, there's no Jesus in this. Why are you offended? And
right.
Then I learned, I was told by the internet, this is not the Last Supper. This is another painting or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well then what the fuck is happening? Why are we all up in arms? I don't understand. I don't understand how the same people who are like, oh, you fucking snowflakes, are the same people who are offended by beer cans and fucking French artistic rendering, like opening ceremony. Like, what is happening, you pussies? Like, what the fuck is this?
I gotta find it, but so I don't know if you know this. Again, we're not a political show. I am a crazy tinfoil hat, pinko commie leftist. But the idea of the snowflake shit is so funny to me because I gotta find it. But literally, what the comeback has been like you just said, like, well, it's weird that you're upset about this when is like. We haven't really addressed it on the show, but the Kamala Harris.
Kamala Khan it might be a real thing. No, sorry, that was a different
reference. But it is, they genuinely are just talking about like how upset that they're saying that they're weird. Where someone's literally like like, hey man, you can disagree or agree politically or whatever, but these fuckers are weird. And that's like the one insult. They're not even saying crazy. Like they're just like, it's weird that this guy's talking about Hannibal Lecter. It's weird that this guy's talking about this stuff. It's weird, and the people on the alt-right are like losing their minds, like, you can't, it's so insulting and blah blah blah. And it's one of those things where it's like, weren't you calling us like pedophiles and fucking like Satanists and things like that?
And communists and all that.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they're like, all right, weirdo. And they're like, don't call us that. You know, it's like, what? You know, it's so funny to me that here, this is the where it's like, stop calling us weird, damn it. Meanwhile, they got a fucking Donald Trump fuck doll. You know, like, it's, I don't know if that's satire or not, but it's so hard to tell because these fuckers are so weird.
It's so hard to tell. The guy from Veep, the creator of Veep, said just today that Veep will not be able to be done today because it's very like the whole show of Veep was very satire and very like, oh, this is how crazy politics could be, and now it's like real life politics has gotten way over, like way crazier than anything that any Hollywood writer could write. Like we can't write crazier. Like it is. They've gone so far that it's like it would be boring for them just to do. If you watch the show now, it's like the guy who's nominated for vice president fucks couches or something. There's like a whole thing that he had taken out of his book about how he likes to fuck furniture, and it's like, wait a minute, right? That's weird. And here's the thing: there's a vetting process. Right, like there's a vetting process. The American public or the public assume is a thorough one.
Yeah,
right. Like he announced the vice president candidacy like very late in the game.
Yes,
very late in the game. So one could assume that they were trying to like find the perfect one. That the vetting process was very thorough.
Yeah.
And I guess nobody stopped to ask, hey, have you ever written that you like to fuck couches?
Yeah, he put it in his book or so? Or I don't look. People are saying that it's rumor. People are saying that whatever, but it doesn't matter. Once the internet gets a hold of something,
it's kind of like the Richard Gere rumor.
Yes,
where
the hamster story.
It doesn't even matter. The gerbil. Let's get ready. Where it doesn't even matter if it happened or not. Just the fact that rumor is out there and it's so prevalent is almost like it doesn't even matter if it's true or not, man. You can't stop.
It doesn't. There's a thing called the Barbara Streisand effect, where it's like there was a picture of Barbara Streisand that she was like, "Get this off the internet," and all it did was create more of people like. What picture?
Yeah, more people sharing it. Yeah,
exactly. So it becomes this. It becomes this kind of like, like once the internet gets a hold of something, you're done. This is a very specific reference that you would have to be. If you understand it right away, it's a problem. But that is a very specific reference. Once the internet gets a hold of like. The memification of politics is kind of why we have what we have.
Which is what happened in season 3 of The Boys. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Right? Where she was like, what was her name? Starlight? Whatever, not Starlight. The other one, the Nazi chick. What was her name? Stormfront was like, you're worried about all these. Like, I have 3 guys working in the basement creating memes.
Yeah,
he's like, that's how I get my popularity. Like, you fucking think you're gonna sit there with a think tank? Like, get out of here. You just fucking get three comic book nerds with fucking meme capabilities and
3 Russian bot farms going to town. Mike Valdez, yo, what's up? All I know is whatever I've had supper with my 12-year-old. I always sit next to them because I'd rather not look or talk to them. Oh, right. They're talking about the Dionysus thing. If JD Vance does anything to the couch on the cover of Paramore's first album, I'm rioting. That is too deep a cut for
such a deep cut, dude.
I don't know exactly. Porcupine Jason, do you not remember the vetting process of Sarah Palin? Sarah Palin would be like a welcome beat of normalcy right now.
By the way, can we just talk about how Sarah Palin, this is how crazy politics has got it in the last 15 years, in the last 3 presidential cycles. Ready?
Yeah.
Sarah Palin is known as a kooky lady because she, living in Alaska, said, I can see Russia from my house.
Right, yeah. She was.
That's it. That's all she said. That's it. All she was trying to say, and again, I'm not a Republican, I'm not conservative, and I'm not trying to defend Sarah Palin, but all she was trying to say by that statement was,
I'm close.
that how close Alaska, which is U.S., which is the United States, is to Russia physically, geographically.
Right.
And people took that and ran with it. She's a crazy lady. Look at this crazy lady, whatever. And it almost felt like then she started becoming a caricature of that. Because everything else after that, where she was like, I'm a gun toting, like everything else that came after that moment.
All about the being like basically just like a white and trashy. You know?
Well, by the way, like I like to correct myself. Sarah Palin never technically said those words. It's kind of like it's kind of like that. Luke, I am your father. Like that's not the line.
Right.
No, you know who said that line? Tina Fey, as Sarah Palin said that line. Sure. And everybody's like, Sarah Palin, this fucking idiot. This cookie nut. What an idiot. Huh? What a
the story.
Nut.
I'm telling you, it's just a story. Look, the fact that Richard Gere had to explain to his children why they couldn't take the class pet gerbil home is kind of hilarious to think about. Whether that's real or not that doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter. It's hilarious. So this is why I believe in order to engage the right demographics, Kamala Harris needs to make a Fartbuckle meme. Are you aware of current Fartbuckle? Do you know what Fartbuckle is? This is a D&D specific kind of thing on the internet that has become so big that it's like branched out into other things. So I will share with you. This is someone posted this with a song, Donald Glover, the new Donald Glover song, right? Now, can you hear that?
Yeah.
So basically,
but you got to read the captions to the listener. You got to read. You got to read the caption.
So it starts off as like the D&D group thinking they're going to lose to a magic crystal, right? This is a common thing. D&D, there's something like, oh man, this thing's going to fucking kill us. And then the DM suddenly remember that they have a goblin companion named Fartbuckle. And then it goes, and then they're like, no, Fartbuckle. And then Fartbuckle dramatically comes in to save the fucking day. And he says, I save friends. And it's got this dramatic thing. Right? This is a super specific. So there's so many layers to what's happening here that if you're in the D&D community, you would know. Fartbuckle is a thing that clearly at some point in the game, they were like, what's this goblin's name? And the guy who's running the game was like, his name's fucking Fartbuckle. Who cares? It's just some goblin. And then the people at the table become obsessed with Fartbuckle, and Fartbuckle becomes a friend of them, and then they're moving around, and they get attached to Fartbuckle. This happens all the time in these types of games. And he used Fartbuckle make the ultimate sacrifice, went on a blaze of glory to save his friends, and it was
Hodor.
He Hodored. He did like a perfect example. Everybody got really attached to Hodor. Why? There's no real story to Hodor. When they finally give him a story, it's heartbreaking, right? Because you've grown attached to him. So now everyone in the comments is like, we need Fartbuckle lore. Fartbuckle, no, and he's like, I have no idea what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. It's like this is like a thing that has become. This thing has 7 million views. This meme, right? So all of a sudden, it got to the point where on TikTok, if you use the audio on unrelated things, this Childish Gambino song is now forever ingrained with Fartbuckle's story, where people were responding to the videos like, why is everybody talking about who's Fartbuckle? What the fuck is a Fartbuckle? Yeah. And then so it becomes this let me find the other thing. Response to Fartbuckle. I should have had this up earlier.
I like to think that there are people who started playing D&D just because they got curious about who Fartbuckle was.
Yes, I don't doubt it. Like because they're like, what?
Somebody was like, what the fuck is this Fartbuckle? And then they heard about it and they're like, D&D, speak to me more about this. Talk to me more about this D&D stuff. And they got into it just because it became.
They're like, I want a Fartbuckle experience. Yeah. This is maybe Donald Glover. I'm trying to find, because it got to the point where this got so much attention that Childish Gambino fucking made his own Fartbuckle video. What I'm telling you is that you got to connect with the people where they're at. Hold on. This is on the official Donald Glover account, and it's literally sad
gives a fuck.
Donald Glover watching Fartbuckle videos. Right, like it's become like the fact that it got so big that they had to acknowledge it is pretty funny, and everyone is like, hell yeah, and there's still like a touch like people in the comments who wait, what is Fartbuckle? I'm telling you, the next election will be decided by whoever posts the Fartbuckle video first. That's all I'm saying. Kamala Harris, jump on it. Take my ideas. I'll run it for you. I'll run your social media.
I think she's doing pretty well, considering the fact that she's gotten a lot of money in the last.
Yeah,
I mean, if that's any indication, that she's gotten a lot of money.
Did you see the white dudes for
Kamala or white dudes for Harris got
Yeah.
$4 million or something like that, like in like 3 hours or some crazy shit?
Yeah.
And then I heard Elon Musk shut that down
immediately. The Twitter account, as soon as the call or whatever ended, they banned the account or whatever. Like they did like a block the account, and it's like all right, so sore losers, why are you so weird? And then like it's literally it's just so egregious at this point that it's like, well, I hope everything goes well in November, and we're not in a Venezuela situation. That's a whole other one. I don't think it's that funny, but it's not funny to talk about. But it's like, hey, are we watching prequels here?
But it's weird. You know what's weird is watching United States Republicans comment on that, saying how awful that is, and I'm like, but you did this on January 6th.
What? Yeah,
but this was your January 6th.
Are you just jealous because theirs is working, or
what happened now?
Yeah.
Why Marco Rubio's up in arms over this? Like, what do you do? What are you talking about? But you said nothing about January 6th. What's going on? Like, this is so weird. Yeah. People cannot see the tree for the woods type of shit. Anyways,
the forest for the trees. I mean, look, we are the official podcast of the November election. Yeah, we're the official podcast for America and the United States.
Ireland.
Well, you're already there. Just stay there. Just get your family there, and then just like move to Ireland.
So I'm here during the summer, so I'm enjoying it. But apparently the winters are rough.
That's like those people who come to like Miami in December and they're like, "What? This is great! Oh my god, this is so nice." You go to the beach in December, and then in like June and July, they're like,
it's been a nice, like, not melting my ass off. Like I'm walking around with my 49ers jacket because I can during the day, and I have it on. Like, and by that I just mean that there's a fat guy wearing a jacket outside, and it's nothing, and it's totally like, oh, I can layer.
That's like feeling the season change in New York. I miss it, because here it's just always like beautiful, kind of perfect. Yeah, it's always kind of great. But like there was such energy. What happened when like it would go from hot to cold, and then from cold back to like warm, where like in spring where you would be like, oh, what? It's 50 degrees and people in tank tops and shit, and everybody's like, oh my god, we're going to the park, like. It was like that energy. So I can totally imagine you're like, oh, let me bundle up with my little scarf.
That's how I feel when I go to LA. It's like I'm like, oh, because in LA every night is perfect. Like the night is just perfect, right? And that's how I feel about LA. When you go there, you go, oh, I used to make fun of comedians who would travel from Los Angeles and travel to Miami and be like, well, LA's got better weather. And I'm like, and I would make fun of them. Like, that's what you fucking bringing to the table. I'm here talking about fucking fine women and fucking, and you're bringing fucking weather. You're bringing weather to the table, to the conversation. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, you pussy. And then I went to LA and I'm like, oh no, I get what you're, okay.
Oh yeah. That's why they talk about it. Yeah. It's like,
because yes, it does make a difference. You're right. That was on me. That was on me, guys.
Yeah, that's on me. Well, we did it, everybody. Wonderful show. Sorry, Steph. She's on assignment. Steph couldn't make it. She's, what is she doing? She's off in the woods doing parent things.
I think, I from what I understood, what she was doing was creating. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask her, because she's in Australia, and I don't know. Well, I'll talk to her. We'll talk about it when she comes back. But I wanted to get her.
We don't have
her,
conversations off podcasts. What are
yeah,
we, friends?
Yeah. I'll talk to no, not off podcast. I want to talk to her on the podcast, but I want her to be on. But I want her to be on there.
Yes. Okay.
I want to be.
I
have an Australia / fucking EU scenario situation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we'll stay tuned. What a cliffhanger for What's Up, Bro.
Do you have an old school pick?
I do. Oh, yes. Oh, hold on. I gotta see what it was because I made a list. I was just talking about this because I had to redo my whole media library, and I found a movie that I had not seen in a while. Wait, did I say this already? Old school picks.
I'll just give you mine. Why you looking for that? I would say going back to my 1989 of fucking treasure trove of picks because it's the 35th anniversary. My old school pick is Parenthood with Steve Martin.
Oh,
yeah.
We got to incorporate talking about these again because I would like to watch them and then come back and talk about them like we used to.
I'm down for that too, man.
Yeah. I'm going to go with. I hadn't seen this movie in a long time, and and then I was just reminded because there was even this isn't recent, but there was an interview between Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler. And my old school pick is Airheads.
Nice.
Yeah. Airheads.
We've done this before. We've done this one before, but this was a decade ago, so it's fine. But it's worth reviewing.
Airheads is also like a weird time capsule of like music in the 90s or whatever. My Fartbuckle pick this week is October Sky. We're gonna just rename everything Fartbuckle. October Sky, that was mine a couple weeks ago. The movie, it was great. I love that movie. But
that was from Mike Valdez, by the way. That was from Mike Valdez. Airhead is great, man. Airhead is great. You just have to suspend reality.
My dad chose Independence Day. Good classic Will Smith and what's the guy's name? Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. That guy's name. Excuse me. You put some respect on Bill Pullman's name.
I was gonna say Bill Paxton, but it's not Bill Paxton. It's
not Bill Paxton. But speaking of which, have you seen Twisters?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it.
I saw it with Missy opening day. She's a huge fan of the original Twister.
Yeah, I love the original Twister.
I thought it was okay. I liked the original Twister, but it was literally nothing to write home about. It was like I have not gone back to rewatch Twister since it came out 25 years ago. Like I don't care. Whatever. It's fine. That was a good movie. Oh yeah, we have cows. Like I was never like, to me, Twister was never like Independence Day where you watch. You gotta go back and watch it again. It wasn't like that. I was just like, it was good. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, but it was nothing. I didn't think it was a big deal. But apparently for Missy, it's like a comfort watch. She watches it multiple times a year, every year.
Interesting.
I'm like, I didn't think that was that kind of movie. Like I really never thought it was that kind of movie. And then I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and I showed my kids the original Twister, and I was like, "Hey, is anybody going to talk about this guy, a future Academy Award winner? What's his name in that movie?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He plays like this.
He is hamming it the fuck up in this movie.
He's so like such an outlandish character in that
cartoonish character.
So fun.
And an otherwise regular movie.
Yeah,
and
so fun.
It is crazy to me. Like I'm just looking around, like I'm watching this movie. Like,
is anybody?
This is bad acting. This is bad acting. Like, what's happening here?
Food.
Yeah. And
yes, Mike Valdez. We went to the same. That's so funny. Oh, Hilda's here. Twisters is one of my favorite movies. Also, comfort watch for me as well.
Wait. Hilda, you talking about Twister or Twisters? This has become now an aliens conversation.
Yes, it has become that. But yeah, that is food.
Anyways, so he's I don't think Twister is great. now rewatching it, I think Philip Seymour Hoffman really kind of fucked that movie up. He really like, and it's very difficult for me to say that because he again is a very worthy future Oscar-winning actor.
You want to? So I will say this: my favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman role is in Along Came Polly, what he's
Let It
playing
Rain.
Let
Let It Rain. That's a great one.
I just sharted. That was the origin of shart for me.
Yeah,
I tried to fart that shit.
my favorite. I mean, that was a close second for me as far as Philip Seymour Hoffman, but my first one's got to be Boogie Nights, bro. I mean,
yeah,
it's just fun. I mean, that's just other level. But yeah,
that was just rambling.
That was just rambling.
Thank you everybody for watching live. If we're on live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
On Instagram, Rookie just put Steph is on strikey.
Crikey.
God.
Yeah. We're streaming live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also listen to the audio version on any of your podcast directories. If you're listening to this or watching this in the future, you can come join us when we're live by following us at WUBro Pod on all social media. Follow at Mike Mercadal, at Nary Signs. If you we'll do plugs. I will do at Zeros on Heroes. You can go to YouTube and watch a podcast I do with Will Watkins called Collateral Benefit, in which we are trying to improve ourselves fitness-wise, mind, body, and community. And share with us whatever it is that you're doing to improve your life, and we'll talk about it on the show. Email at zerosonheroes@gmail.com, and you can be a part of the show and follow me for that, and you can be notified when I go live there. Yep. Nary, is there anything you would like to promote before we go?
Well, my album Live in Miami is still on sale, still available. Go ahead and watch it or listen to it. I'm sorry. Check it out wherever you listen to music, wherever you buy music. Be great, appreciative. And I'm also I'm headlining the Miami Improv on August 22nd. So get your tickets on MiamiImprov.com or the link in my bio on my Instagram. So
at Nary Signs for all that information.
Yep, at Nary Signs or whatwashisname.com. All my socials on there. And that's it. That's all I got because that's how winning is done.